not long left in this race then, just 10 seconds to go, and I think it's fair to say that the results of this race were pretty much a foregone conclusion, as from a few laps ago when the gap between each of the racers was just opening up lap after lap, and Macaulay Bishop is on his way to one of the more easy victories he's ever going to claim, although of course that is very much down to his own persistence in maintaining that pace and controlling the race brilliantly. A 41.86 as a personal best. He's quicker than anyone else by about 0.6 of a second. Leo Purchase is the next quickest driver. No other driver apart from Purchase has got beneath the 43-second mark. But this is the last lap now for each of the drivers. Bishop leads by 6.16 seconds. Purchase then is in second place, but he has an over 8-second gap back to Hadley. The only close drivers are Hadley and Crossley. A battle for third, which I use the term battle pretty loosely, but it is going to be how the order stands at the moment. The checker flag goes for Macaulay Bishop, who wins in heat number 3 and becomes the second driver today to win 2 heats. Sorry, third driver today, of course, including Basley of the 177s. Leo Purchase in second. Third goes to Noah Hadley, with fourth Ben Crossley. Fifth will belong to Daniel Thorne before Freddie Baker concludes his race in the novice in the number 18. But 13 laps there of Miami Cadets. Their final will be later on in race 20, following the Honda Cadet final, as we turn our attention to race number 15. It's the Minimax final heat. About to get underway with the 14 Minimax drivers then for their final heat. Lights go out and away we go. It's Charlie Knight versus Sean Cuss, and Sean Cuss came second in the first heat earlier on. He'll be looking to try and replicate that kind of form again. Of course, trying conditions in heat 2 almost becomes a bit of an anomaly when you look at the results after the day is done. But Cuss now up into second, but already been overtaken is that by Littlewood already. Marcus Littlewood, who of course won heat number 2, I think came third or fourth in heat 1, so he's certainly on for a good points tally if he finishes as he is now. But you suspect he'll be searching for a second win in a row. And the number 43 of Charlie Knight currently does occupy the lead, though, after just one lap as they make their way around the circuit. Once again, nearly 3 abreast coming across the line for a few of the drivers there, a bit further down the order. Perhaps it was consisting of, I think, Todd and Hamera at 6th and 7th, but drivers will be sorting themselves into their positions at the moment as the quicker drivers filter their way through. Ethan Leader, another driver to watch in this class. Of course, didn't have a brilliant second heat, only finished around 11th or 12th. But with the slicks back on and a dry circuit, he'll be looking to try and replicate the form in which he won in heat number 1 earlier on today. So the number 27 was in 8th at the end of that previous lap, now is up into 7th place, having overtaken Samuel Todd, who loses 6 positions actually. Not a good lap by Samuel Todd. The number 83 really suffered and drops outside the top 10. But Hamera, Leader, Whittington, Couch, James and Walker all benefit. Ollie Tyler just sitting on the fence of the top 10 at the moment. Charlie Knight leads the way though. He might not have won a race so far today, but he's looking to try and do that here. He's shown he has pace here at Clay on several occasions, and now is just another one of those. Marcus Littlewood in 2nd position. It might be his first race here at Clay. Once again, I don't think I recognise the name, so perhaps his debut. Less experience around the circuit, but showing his very much evident competence of kart racing. He's keeping Sean Cuss at bay. Cuss in 3rd, his helmet gleaming as he makes his way down the pit straight and into Billy's, not quite able to create an opportunity for himself to get past Marcus Littlewood on that occasion. Littlewood maintaining 2nd. Callum Voisin in 4th place, the number 34. Oh no, sorry, that's Ellis Pulio. He is in 5th, and Callum Voisin just ahead of him. And the field not too separated out at the moment. Let's hope it stays like that. Voisin in the number 35, currently sitting in 4th, not too far adrift of the battle for 2nd. 1.7 seconds is certainly able to be closed in on, with still over 4 minutes to go. 4 minutes and 40 seconds to go. Sean Cuss closing in on Littlewood though, and he has been making progress over the last few laps, just making sure that gap stays consistently very small, nearly bumper to bumper, and he'll be looking for a way through. The two of them are catching up slowly to the race leader though, Charlie Knight. It could turn into a 3-way battle for the lead in just a few laps. That gap between race leader Knight and 2nd place Littlewood now just 0.6 of a second, and that's now reduced to 0.56 of a second. Sean Cuss closing in on Littlewood as well, and now all of a sudden that gap has reduced to absolutely nothing, and Charlie Knight's under some real pressure here as Littlewood and Cuss look to try and get through. Littlewood's going to dive up the inside. Cuss can't quite follow through, but he does manage to do so at the hairpin a little bit later on in the corner. Cuss up to 2nd, Knight down to 3rd. Littlewood in the lead of the race in the number 12. Once again, he's looking for his 2nd consecutive victory in this 3rd heat, which will almost definitely give him pole position for the final later on. Sean Cuss having a look alongside though. Will he have the inside line down at Billy's? It's so difficult with the left-hand swerve in the corner to get alongside and then maintain that position. Charlie Knight has managed to reclaim his position though, and we have a real race on our hands now, ladies and gentlemen, with the final 4 minutes of the race still to go. Oh, sorry, final 3 minutes still to go. My laptop screen has frozen once again. Hopefully that can get up to date. Indeed it does. So 3 minutes still to go, and a very close affair at the front. Sean Cuss behind Charlie Knight then, who will be determined to get his revenge on Littlewood and reclaim that lead for himself once more. Down into Billy's. The three almost bumper to bumper, nothing to separate the three of them at all. As they go into the S's, a slight nudge on Littlewood puts him sideways for a second, but nothing too catastrophic. He does maintain the race lead, and this is enabling the 4th place Callum Voisin to catch up with them as well and create a real cause for himself. Cuss goes up the inside of Knight, and that's going to be a change for 2nd, I'm certain. And it is indeed Cuss up into 2nd now. Knight has to settle for 3rd for the end of this lap, but going out of the top end, who will get the best exit out of this corner and down towards Billy's once again. They complete their 9th lap of the race with just over 2 minutes to go. Littlewood leads the way, followed by Cuss, Knight and Voisin. 2 minutes left on the clock, as I say, with Sturmey Straight now being the part of the circuit The drivers are on. Littlewood opting for a fairly defensive line, and Sean Cuss is really trying to get past, but he's overtaken by Knight. Will he be able to reclaim that position? Not quite. The number 43 of Charlie Knight is actually given a warning there. So he's got to be careful now to not earn himself a unwanted black flag, as Charlie Knight has a look up the inside. Once again, the left hand kink in this corner is probably going to ruin that, but not quite as he's going to keep up the inside and makes the move at Billy's blind into the S's, and he's got that manoeuvre now, has managed to keep that position, and he's up into the lead once again. Charlie Knight now, can he hold on to it? Littlewood has shown he's very capable of overtaking, and with the latter stages looming, it could well pressure him into making a decision to get into the race lead if he sees an opportunity to do so. Cuss having a look up the inside, but can't quite do anything there. Here comes Sean Cuss in third place. Will there be an opportunity for him? Down at Billy's, has another look up the inside, but not quite able to do so. Less than a minute left on the clock, as our race leader, Charlie Knight, in the lead, is actually potentially turning into a five-way battle, as Ethan Leader is catching up as well, putting his own points on the line here. He really wants to get a good position for the final. Later on, he's going to make a move, and he gets into fourth now. He overtakes Callum Voisin. Voisin down into fifth. Charlie Knight does still lead the way, though. Littlewood in a five-way battle for the lead. This is very much turning into an exciting affair in the third heat for the Minimax. Here they come, down towards the line once again. 17 seconds on the clock. This will be the penultimate lap then. And around Billy's blind they go once more into the S's, and Charlie Knight's actually got a little bit of a gap now to play with. The number 43, Littlewood, slightly further behind. Sean Cuss can't quite get past him on that particular occasion. Leader, of course, is looking to try and improve on his position as well. He's currently in fourth, but has a look up the inside of Sean Cuss. And are the two cars connected? I think they were for a short period there. Front bumper latched onto the back, but Ethan Leader's going to get alongside, and he does manage to push Sean Cuss out wide and take that position. So he's now up into third. Ethan Leader, Voisin isn't quite able to capitalise on that, and Sean Cuss has to settle for fourth now. Charlie Knight in the lead, and it's looking good for him to take that win as well. The battle is slightly fizzled out now as Marcus Littlewood slightly drifts off from the race leader. Being overtaken was probably the best thing for Charlie Knight. It really reinvigorated him and got him going once again. The pace which shown since has been fantastic. Fastest lap belongs to Ethan Leader in third, 37.43, but it is going to be the win for Charlie Knight after a brilliant race. The number 43 wins the race ahead of Marcus Littlewood by less than half a second, with Ethan Leader taking third. Fourth is Callum Voisin in the end, and Sean Cuss has to settle for fifth, so I didn't see that overtake, but Voisin overtaking Sean Cuss as well, so Cuss will be probably quite disappointed with that, the number 21, but still was involved in a very entertaining race, and for that you can take credit. And Joshua Whittington Couch in 6th, 7th goes to Massey Chamera, 8th Ellis Pulio, with 9th position going to Harry James. Ollie Tyler has to settle for 10th place, and sitting outside the top 10, George Walker, Jordan Morris, Jamie Blanchard, Samuel Todd, and Reese Hurd. But a brilliant race there. Race of the day so far for me is the third heat for the Minimax. Charlie Knight versus Littlewood versus Leader, Voisin and Cuss. A five-way tussle for the lead, which eventually Knight managed to come out on top of. Fastest lap did go to Ethan Leader in the end, though, with a 37.43. The next fastest lap time out of his nearest competitors was a 37.79. So Leader was really closing in rapidly over the last few laps and managed to create a decent account for himself. Third position in the end. Let's see how that final goes on later. That's going to be a fantastic race, I'm sure. Race number 21. It's the Senior Max Heat 3 about to get underway. Harry Barker versus Charlie Bruce White, who has to be a favourite once again. He starts on the front row. Could manage third last time out. He'll be looking to get 2 victories though from today. Before the final, and already he's got himself into the lead of the race. The number 48 with a fantastic start, just absolutely eradicating any kind of danger for himself. Harry Barker with no chance off the front row there to maintain that position, but Harry Barker having battles now with Gabriel Abbott and Steve Bell. Across the line goes Bruce White to complete his first lap, and now the rest of the field. Barker leads Gabriel Abbott and Steve Bell, with James Moorcroft gaining 4 positions off the start. Tommy Foster gaining 2. Gaining 4 is Gemma Hepworth and Hunton Vincent gaining 1 apiece, as Jordan Brightman West and Liam Rabjohns fall to the back of the pack in 11th and 12th. Trying to dive on the inside, and they touch the number 67 on Gabriel Abbott. He just got it a little bit wrong, too tight on the horseshoe, and connected with the back of the number 14 Harry Barker. Barker was spun around, and Gabriel Abbott could be in a little bit of trouble because of that. Just a mistake on his behalf, which led to Harry Barker being spun round. And Barker now right at the back has a lot of work to do to get a decent haul of points. So Bell was the victor in heat number 2. Bruce White was the victor in heat 1, and now Bruce White is in the lead once again. Gabriel Abbott in 2nd place. Steve Bell, as I say, in 3rd. 4th is the E-plated Tommy Foster, a very capable young driver, one of the youngest out here on the field for the Senior Max today. The leading pack out of the top bend now, and the pit straight for the 4th time. Five and a half minutes left to go, and the crowd beginning to disperse a little bit. The number 67 of Gabriel Abbott is beginning to open up a real pocket of air for himself, but Steve Bell is very much involved in a battle with Tommy Foster, James Moorcroft and Gem Hepworth. Those 4 drivers all becoming wrapped up in something of a close battle. Tommy Foster could be about to make a manoeuvre on Steve Bell within the imminent few corners, with less than 5 minutes to go now. And he has indeed managed to do so. Tommy Foster up into 3rd now. Steve Bell down into 4th. But Charlie Bruce White in the lead of the race, really trying to stamp his authority upon this class, even after just 3 races in it, showing he is a proper competitor. If he does decide to do the championship this season, I'm sure he stands in with a decent chance of winning it. Tommy Foster would have to be considered another favourite though. He's currently in 3rd place, battling to try and close up to Gabriel Abbott, which he has managed to do so very well indeed. Closed up on Abbott over the past lap or so. 0.36 the gap at the end of the previous lap, and he was over half a second quicker. So you can see Tommy Foster with a pretty pacey display at the moment. As the kart's now with 3 minutes and 40 seconds left on the clock. Tommy Foster overtaking Gabriel Abbott then. That's a change for 2nd place, and Moorcroft has managed to get past Steve Bell as well. That's a change for 4th. Steve Bell He won pretty comfortably in Heat 2. Didn't have too many issues, and Tommy Foster was second. Tommy Foster could well be on for another second place, but Steve Bell dropping down the order in comparison. Jem Hepworth in 6th place at the moment. Derek Hunt in 7th. 8th is Bradley Gill, who's dropping off as well the pace, but Liam Rabjohn's closing in on Gill, and that gap isn't very big at all. Amelia Vincent in 10th, overtaken by Rabjohns on that previous lap. Harry Barker remains the only driver outside of the top 10 still running. Jordan Brightman West pulled into the pit on lap 6 there. Bruce White does lead by 3.47 seconds. Tommy Foster's closing in though, 0.36 seconds quicker on that previous lap, 35.01 in comparison to Bruce White's 35.37. So, as I say, a fair amount quicker, but Foster, of course, didn't get any points for Heat 1, so he won't get a very good grid start, regardless of if he wins here. He'll probably start, he could start as low as last, realistically, because of the point system. 0 points given because he wouldn't have collected any for not getting to the start line. So Tommy Foster's going to have a lot of work to do in the final, but 10-minute long finals, they are slightly longer races, and it will be opportunity for Tommy Foster to collect his first silverware of the season. Charlie Bruce White does lead though, with no problems at all at the moment. 2.5 seconds still separate himself and nearest rival Tommy Foster, who has himself got a gap of 1.9 seconds back to Gabriel Abbott. James Moorcroft isn't so far behind Abbott. The number 21 wearing his signature orange helmet is not so far behind Abbott that that move is deemed unrealistic. He could still get into the top 3, given that there's just under a minute to go. Jem Hepworth in 5th. She's had a good race, has driven well considering a pretty poor grid position. Steve Bell in 6th. 7th is Derek Hunt, and 8th Liam Rabjohns. 9th is Bradley Gill, with Amelia Vincent still racking out to the top 10. Beginning to close in on Harry Barker. Oh no, on Gabriel Abbott, sorry, is James Moorcroft. So whether that will be a change for 3rd by the end of this race, he's only got about a lap and a half to do so. And Gabriel Abbott has shown his consistency and constant pace throughout this particular heat. Across the line goes Charlie Bruce White as the battle at the back begins to heat up as well. Amelia Vincent having just been overtaken by Harry Barker. None of those drivers want to finish outside the top 10. The lowest points available in this particular race. But last lap, as I say, and Charlie Bruce White in the lead of the race, and Tommy Foster isn't quite within touching distance, but he's a lot closer than he has been. He caught up by another 0.4 over that last lap, and a 34.95. I think that's the first time this season anyone has got a quicker lap time than a 35-second mark, but Bruce White was able to hold on in the end. Tommy Foster closing in on another half a second on that previous lap, so Foster could be very much one to watch in the final later on, the final which is going to be race number 22 of 24. Gabriel Abbott manages to hold on to 3rd, as James Moorcroft just not quite able to close that gap enough, in a similar story to the top 2. Jem Hepworth in 5th. 6th is Steve Bell in the end, with Derek Hunt finishing in 7th, with at least 2.3 seconds either side of him. Liam Rabjohn's in 8th, 9th Harry Barker with Bradley Gill in 10th, so a decent recovery from Harry Barker as Amelia Vincent spins on the last lap and has to settle for 11th position. About to get underway now with the penultimate heat of the day. It is the Junior Max and the second largest grid. About to get underway with the second of last heats. Teddy Clinton versus Michael Salmon on the front row. Let's see how they get underway. A good manoeuvre from the number 66, but there's a big collision right at the start. Two karts going into the tyre wall right at the start, just past the start line there, and that's pretty unusual to see. You don't see two karts go off backwards straight away, but it seems that the drivers are okay, just trying to get their karts, if they can, going again. But it looks like an early exit for both of those drivers, so a pretty messy start there for the Junior Max drivers, especially those two. Yellow flags will be waving, so an overtaking in that particular sector, but it's been a fantastic start from Oakley Pryor, who managed to finish in 3rd place in Heat 2. One in the podium positions in Heat number 1, but he'll be seeking his first win of the season, get him up and running on that count, and first of many, you suspect, knowing his track record. Teddy Clinton is in 2nd place after 1 lap, with Bailey Voisin in behind and Michael Salmon 4th, Tom Adams, Joseph Hawkwood, Alex Eads, Daniel Yates, Matthew Collings and Angie Stenning running out the top 10 after a pretty good start to an interesting race here. Second race was a good watch, and hopefully we can see more of the same here, as yellow flags do still wave in the first couple of sectors there, so no overtaking, and indeed yellow flags waving all around the circuit, so no overtaking anywhere. No positions can be changed around, but it looks like that is perhaps what's just happened. Number 42, was that an overtake? Not quite sure, can't be sure of that. I don't want to make any kind of incidents for the drivers there, but yellow flags are still being waved. Green flag now out though, so down at Billy's blind. Will that take some of the drivers off guard? And down at Billy's is very tight squeeze. Several overtakes made in a fantastic manoeuvre there by the number 30 was that. Number 30 of Angie Stenning making up several positions, as the number 17 gains a position there. Tom Adams the field is all over the place. It's hard to tell who is where, but across the line goes Oakley Pryor. He's having no troubles. Over 5 seconds his advantage, back to second place. The number 17 of Tom Adams, who's managed to get past Teddy Clinton now, Bailey Voisin, but Guy Cunnington with brilliant 5 positions gained, sorry, on that previous lap. So up into 7th, he's had a brilliant restart. And she's Stenning up into 9th meanwhile. But the first heat produced a Cunnington win, followed by Eads in 2nd and 3rd. And this time, second heat it was Watts who took the win. He's currently in 12th position. It was Stenning who took 2nd place. He's currently in 9th, and 3rd place went to Oakley Pryor in 3rd, and now Pryor leads, and Adams is the only driver sitting in the top 3 at the moment who has got a top 3 in either of the 2 races so far. It's so competitive in this junior max class today. I mean, that is what happens when you have a larger grid. There were 19 drivers who started this race, and 17 drivers are still driving in this heat. They're still going out there, but within the top 11 there's almost nothing to separate the majority of those drivers, except for our race leader Oakley Pryor, who is absolutely storming to victory. Half of the race gone, and he's already off into the distance with his mind already on the final, you'd almost think, because that race lead is looking very much like one he is not going to concede to anyone else. Tom Adams in 2nd place is over 5.5 seconds behind, closed in slightly on that previous lap, sorry, but the gap certainly nowhere near as much as it needs to be in order for him to catch up and potentially make a late surge for 1st place. Teddy Clinton is in 3rd. He's managed to maintain that position pretty well, but has been closed in by Guy Cunnington several seconds over the past few laps, and Cunnington now, in fact I think he might have already got past Clinton. He's come out of the top bend. I think that will be confirmed, that particular suspicion, as Tom Adams goes across the line, completes his 8th lap. But Cunnington indeed in 3rd, ahead of Teddy Clinton now, with Alex Eads in 5th. 6th is James Crossley with 7th Angie Stenning. Then Matthew Collings in 8th position. 9th Bradley Watts, and Michael Salmon in 10th place. So a best lap of the race so far does belong to Oakley Pryor, 35.25, but it's not so much of a dominant lap time as we have seen several times previous to this in other races today, in which the fastest lap time has been so much quicker than some of the other ones. But Tom Adams is only 0.05 seconds slower in terms of personal best, and has indeed been catching up to Pryor by a couple of hundredths over the past few laps. Certainly not enough to make a difference in terms of the dent on the race leader's possibility of winning, but he is closing that gap slightly, and that will fill him with a bit of confidence come the final later on. Pryor leads the way, and let's see the gap this time by 5.67, so the two doing very nearly identical lap times, 35.43 for Pryor and 35.45 for Tom Adams. Guy Cunnington remains in 3rd place, but Tom Adams is 2.96 seconds up the road. Alex Eads is then 1.18 seconds behind Cunnington, and it's from behind him that the race begins to really hot up, because behind Teddy Clinton is James Crossley and Collings, Stenning, Watts and Salmon, all of whom are almost touching. Very close run stuff. Clinton currently has just been overtaken by James Crossley, so sits in 6th. Out of the S's and onto the Sturmey Straight. Tom Adams in 2nd place. Guy Cunnington slightly closing in, but not enough considering the amount of time left. Alex Eads then in 4th place, and then that battle for 5th, which James Crossley is currently in charge of, but the number 42, certainly without a guarantee of that position. Stenning is just in behind, and then Clinton followed by Scottish champion Matthew Collings, who's currently occupying 8th position. The race is still relatively close together in the closing stages of this one. Less than 10 seconds to go before hopefully Pryor he'll be coming across the line pretty soon to begin his final lap. Collings overtaking Clinton on that previous lap, so Teddy Clinton unfortunately just going backwards down the order. There's a change as the number 42 is being overtaken by Angie Stenning now. Stenning does manage to get past, and that is a change for 5th, so Stenning up into 5th place. Now last lap for Oakley Pryor, our race leader, and Tom Adams now over 6 seconds behind. This could be the biggest win of the day so far. And there's another change around. It looks like there's more squabbling going on. These positions are certainly far from confirmed as the number 42 battling with Matthew Collings now. Collings trying to improve on his current standing of 7th. Number 72 of Harry Holland doing a good job of keeping a much further up placed kart behind, but Tom Adams takes 2nd position. 3rd goes to Guy Cunnington. 4th is going to belong to Alex Eads pretty comfortably, as Angie Stenning does take 5th, but 6th just about James Crossley, as Matthew Collings in 7th can't quite complete that overtake. Teddy Clinton has to settle for 8th in the end, with Bradley Watts 9th, and 10th is Lewis Halliday. After 15 laps though, Oakley Pryor winning by a massive 6.32. In the end, a huge margin of victory, and he takes his first win of the season. He'll be prepared for the final later on, which is surely going to be an exciting one. So many drivers who aren't even in the sort of top few positions now will be almost expecting a win later on. There's going to be a lot of attacking play and racing by each of the drivers. And we will see how that one goes. That will be in the final later on, race number 23. But next we turn our attention to race number 18 as the 177 and 177 Masters, their final heat of the day. the final heat of the day then. It is the 177 Max and the 177 Masters. It's their final chance to claim the points they need to try and get themselves as good as grid position as they possibly can in preparation for their final later on, which will be the final race of the day, race number 24. It is Marcus Basley who will be hoping to claim 3 wins on the bounce. He will be the only driver to do so should he achieve that feat. He starts around 7th on this race, and he'll be hoping to try and replicate his absolutely fantastic form which he has shown today. Let's see how this race pans out as Darren Worley starts alongside Sam Winter on the front row, going down into Billy's, and it's a big collision, a spinner, and then a couple of karts collected into him as well, but it was a pretty low speed collision. Everyone already in the braking zone of Billy, so fortunately all the karts do manage to get going again, but that already opens up the field somewhat, and it's a good start for Sam Winter from pole. He leads the way, and the number 73 of Darren Worley with 33 Joe Walmsley. Excuse me, they all managed to get a pretty decent start and separate themselves out from 4th place Samuel Dix straight away, but Dix has had a fantastic start, gaining 4 positions, as has Lee Holt. He's gained 4 to find himself up into 6th now, but the top 3 have already managed to open up a bit of a gap for themselves, and Winter with over half a second gap. He'll be looking to try and make the most of that, because Samuel Dix finished in 2nd place last time out. He's the closest competitor to Basley, and he'll be looking to try and replicate that form and maybe just steal a win. Basley has not had a good start. He's gone down 4. He was in 9th at the end of that previous lap. So let's see if he can make progress beyond that and get back into the top couple positions, which he'll be used to by now. He's already gained a couple of those positions back up into 7th, having overtaken Ian Brown and Alex Dyson, both of whom overtook him on the first lap. But now he's making his way towards the top 5 and then beyond. We'll see and keep updating on his progress, but it's looking good for Sam Winter at the moment. He's got a lead of nearly a second. Let's see, it probably is over a second now as they go across the line. It is indeed 1.35 as Charlie Worley overtakes Darren Worley on that previous lap. I'm assuming relatives, but I don't know of what kind. Charlie Worley is currently in 2nd though, Darren Worley in 3rd. 4th is Samuel Dix. There's a couple of warnings being dished out. There's one for Joe Walmsley and another for the number 5 of Marcus Basley, so might win 2 races on the bounce, but it doesn't stop him getting a pretty early warning here with still 5.5 minutes left on the clock before we go into a short lunch break and then introduce ourselves to the first finals of the year, beginning with the Honda Cadet final. I am looking forward to that one. Race number 19, and it'll be Sonny Smith starting somewhere towards the front, and so many quick young drivers with so much potential, of course, in the Honda Cadet class. They will be looking to try and get a good position as they possibly can, get their season off to a great start. But turning our attention back to the 177 race now, Sam Winter still doing a pretty fantastic job at the front there. 1.3 seconds his advantage, and he's opening up that margin between himself and Charlie Worley, only by 200ths on that last lap, but any gap opening up is something a race leader will take. Darren Worley still remains in 3rd. 4th is Samuel Dix, and 5th Joe Walmsley. Marcus Basley, he might have reclaimed a few positions to get back into 6th, but he isn't making so much prominent progress that makes you think he's suddenly going to go ahead and win 3 out of 3. Winter and the 2 Worleys are separated out pretty evenly. Samuel Dix is then not far behind Darren Worley. There could be a change for 3rd place should Samuel Dix be able to close that gap. That would be a 2nd and a 3rd then for Samuel Dix. That would almost definitely contribute to a 2nd place and a front row start, which would be very beneficial in a fairly tight packed grid. Basley overtaking Walmsley on that previous lap, so up into the top 5, but the next opponent is Samuel Dix, who was his closest competitor last time out and who is on fire as well. Potentially could be halted a bit of progress now, Marcus Basley. And we shall see if that does turn out to be the case in the laps to come. You sense perhaps it is only a matter of time before Samuel Dix and Darren Worley do exchange positions. Samuel Dix is closing in on Worley, although not as much as I thought on that previous lap. That gap actually slightly opened up on that last lap. I was talking about the lap before, in which it was only a few hundredths, but now it does look like Samuel Dix perhaps is going to have to settle for 4th. Darren Worley managing to pick up a little bit of pace again, perhaps being scared into the fact that that Samuel Dix was catching up the pace slightly, and now sits in 3rd with still a massive gap between himself and 2nd place, but less of a terrifyingly shrinking gap between 3rd and 4th. 2 minutes and 20 seconds remain. Sam Winter on his way to a pretty comfortable victory, and this will be the first time I think for quite a while that none of the heats have had 3 winners, as in 3 consecutive wins for at least one person. Every single class today has had at least 2 different winners, which is good to see. Good to see that variation, and hopefully we'll make for some brilliant races later on in the final. Race of the day so far has to be that Minimax 3rd heat, which was brilliant stuff. Charlie Knight just taking the win ahead of Littlewood and Ethan Leader. But I'm sure the finals will produce some really brilliant racing, and I have high hopes for all 6 of them. Best lap belongs to Sam Winter. It's a 36.05 for the number 77, who currently leads the way. So, proving it's not just in the lead because he started on pole, or just default if you like. He is showing that pace as well. He set it on the previous lap as well, so he's only getting faster and setting quick and quicker lap times as he goes. The pressure of being in the lead evidently not getting to our current race leader. In the lead of the Masters class is Darren Worley, of course on the same kind of point system, but it's over a certain age, isn't it? You get into the Masters class. Can't quite remember what that was now, but Darren Worley is in the lead of the so-called Masters category. Samuel Dix is in 4th. 5th belongs to Marcus Basley, who, as I suspected, has hit a little bit of a wall in terms of progress, but still a 1st and a 1st and a 5th is nothing to be sniffed at, and Basley will still have very much expectancy of going on to win the final later on. The final race of the day, of course, for the 177s and the 177 Masters. But not much time left on the clock, and they'll go across the line for the penultimate time then. Actually, my bad, it will be the 3rd from last time, because they will go around at least one more time. Sam Winter will be on his way now to start the final lap of the race, making his way around the top bend with little company from other competitors. Samuel Dix has managed to overtake Darren Worley there, so change for 3rd as Winter begins the final lap of the heats this afternoon. Samuel Dix has been catching Worley over the past few laps, and now there's an overtake as well as Basley gets past Worley now, and potentially Basley could still take the position from Samuel Dix. If Basley can get himself into the top 3 by the end of this race, he can take that as a very much job well done, but I don't think he's going to quite be able to do so, although Dix was halted slightly there by a back marker. checkered flag goes, and it's a dominant victory for Sam Winter, who wins by over 2 seconds. But second place will go to Worley, third goes to Samuel Dix. Not that far apart in the end from Marcus Basley, who was always closing in on the number 26. That progress, which looked like it wasn't going to really advance anymore, only a couple of laps ago, and then he overtook Darren Worley, and suddenly a move into the top 3 looked on the cards, but Samuel Dix did manage to retain that position, so maintains a third in the end. Darren Worley will be disappointed to finish that race in 5th. 6th place goes to Daniel Milner, with 7th Joe Walmsley, Lee Holt in 8th, 9th Ian Brown, and Elliot Herbert in 10th. 11th Alex Dyson, Peter Lockett and Chris Fry rounding out the rest of the grid as the race ends and we enter a short lunch break before the finals later on. You won't want to miss them as we start with the Honda Cadets race number 19, which will be the next race coming up.